Hello everyone, welcome to our exciting presentation. Today we're going to explore how to unlock the power of word endings. Our focus will be on spelling suffixes like eyes, ance, ence, and ist. We'll look at how these endings can change words and help us understand and spell them better. I'm glad you're here, and I look forward to sharing some useful tips and tricks. Let's get started. Now let's look at the word summarize. As a verb, it means to give a brief statement of the main points. When I say summary as a noun, I'm referring to that brief statement itself. Both words are connected. Summarize is the action, and summary is what you create when you do that action. This is a good example of how suffixes can change the meaning or part of speech of a word. For instance, adding eyes turns a noun or adjective into a verb, indicating an action. Understanding these differences helps us see how words can be related and how they function within sentences. And this idea of giving a brief statement or a summary ties into our overall theme, how language helps us communicate ideas clearly and efficiently. Let's take a closer look at some useful words that end with the suffix. These words all mean to make or become something. For example, when you see to make italic, the word is italicize. It means to turn text into italics, giving it that slanted style. Next, we have to establish a colony, which is colonize. This means to settle and create a new community in a new place. Then, to make sanitary or clean is sanitize. This is especially important in health and hygiene contexts, like sanitizing surfaces to prevent germs. Moving on, to commit to memory is memorize. When you memorize something, you learn it so well that you can recall it easily later. To make familiar is familiarize. This means to help someone become comfortable or accustomed to new information or surroundings. To make into a collection is anthologize. This involves gathering various works, like poems, stories, or songs, into a single collection. Finally, to give a brief statement is summarize. Summarizing means to condense information into its main points, making it easier to understand quickly. All these words share the key idea of transforming or making something into a different state or form, and the suffix is a common way to create action words in English. It's a very versatile suffix that helps us describe the process of change or creation clearly and efficiently. Let's take a closer look at the word clearance. It refers to the act of clearing or selling something, often in the context of stores offering discounts to make room for new stock. Moving on, performance is about the act of performing or carrying out a task, whether it's an artist on stage or a business executing a plan. Then we have insurance, which relates to the act of insuring or protecting against risks, like health or property insurance. Next is disappearance, the process of something vanishing or ceasing to be visible. On the flip side, appearance is about the act of appearing or looking, how something or someone presents themselves. Lastly, reliance describes the state of trusting or depending on someone or something. All these words share a common theme. They all describe an act, a process, or a state of being. And if you notice, they all end with the suffix ance. This suffix is a great example of how we turn verbs or concepts into nouns that describe these states or actions. It's a powerful way to expand our vocabulary and express complex ideas simply. Connecting this to our overall theme, understanding these suffixes helps us see patterns in language and improves both our comprehension and communication. Let's take a closer look at some keywords that share the suffix ence, which highlights a certain state or quality. First up is brilliance, which describes the quality of being brilliant. Think of someone's exceptional talent or a very bright light. It's all about that remarkable quality that stands out. Next, we have preference, which is about a person's tendency or choice, what they favor over other options. It reflects our individual likes and dislikes. Moving on to existence, which simply refers to the state of being, of something actually being there. It's a fundamental concept about whether something is real or present. Then there's influence, which refers to the effect or impact one thing or person can have on another. It's about how we shape or change things around us. And finally, coherence, which is the state of being logical, consistent, and clear, especially in ideas or arguments. What ties all these words together is their suffix, ence, which signals a particular state or quality. Understanding these helps us see how different concepts are expressed in language, especially when describing qualities or conditions. This understanding is essential as we explore how language shapes our perception of reality and influence our communication. Let's take a closer look at some key terms related to the word suffix ist. First, we have the antagonist, who is the one opposing the protagonist, the main character or actor in a story. The protagonist is usually the hero or the central figure around whom the story revolves. Now, moving to scientific roles, a physicist is someone who studies physics, exploring the fundamental laws of nature. On the other hand, an optimist is someone who is hopeful and sees the positive side of things, often having a visionary outlook. Conversely, a pessimist tends to focus on doubts and the negative possibilities, which can influence how they interpret situations. In the broader scientific community, we have scientists, people who study various fields of science to expand our understanding of the world. Lastly, the suffix ist is a common ending used to denote someone who does an action or is an expert in a particular field. Connecting all these ideas, the overall theme emphasizes how the ist suffix helps us understand different roles, perspectives, and expertise, whether in storytelling, science, or everyday life. Now, let's look at how the spelling changes when adding the suffix to the word memorize. Notice that the yn to spell memorize is replaced by an I. This is a common pattern we see when a word ends with a y preceded by a consonant. When we add i's to memory, for example, we change the spelling to memorize. It's important to remember that adding a suffix like i's might require us to make spelling adjustments to the base word. And that's what this spelling rule alert is all about, being aware of these small but important spelling changes to keep our words correct and consistent. Let's go through this slide step by step. First, we have the instruction to choose the correct word to complete the sentence. This is part of an interactive challenge designed to reinforce your understanding of vocabulary. The activity is called Fill in the Blank, Part 1, and it asks you to select the right word from 2 options to complete each sentence. For the first sentence, it's important to have. The options are insurance or appearance. Think about what is essential to have in case of unexpected events. It's clearly insurance. Moving to the second sentence, the store is having a huge, with options clearance or coherence. In retail, a clearance sale is a big event where they offer discounts to clear inventory. Next, the third sentence reads, the actors, followed by performance or preference. Since we're talking about how well someone acted, the correct choice is performance. And for the fourth sentence, in the play was outstanding. The options are performance or preference. The most fitting word here is performance again, emphasizing how well the actor performed. Finally, the phrase, this speech before tomorrow's presentation, ties into the idea of preparation. Familiarizing or memorizing your content is key to delivering confidently. Remember, these exercises help you internalize vocabulary by applying it contextually, making your communication clearer and more effective. Let's take a closer look at the phrase, for coffee over tea. This is a simple way to express a preference or reliance on one option rather than another. It highlights how we often make choices based on what we favor or depend on. Moving on, the phrase, I have a strong, sets the stage for emphasizing a particular belief or conviction. It's about expressing a firm stance on a topic, which we'll see more of as we continue. Now, the phrase, the book title in your essay, reminds us of the importance of properly formatting titles, usually italicizing them, to show respect for the work and follow conventions. Next, remember to is a helpful prompt to keep in mind key actions or rules, such as formatting or citation guidelines, which are crucial for clarity and professionalism. Then we see has puzzled philosophers for centuries, emphasizing that certain questions, like those about existence, are timeless and continue to challenge thinkers across generations. These questions are fundamental to philosophy and our understanding of the world. Following that, the question of hour introduces a topic that invites us to consider what fundamentally concerns us, be it existence, influence, or another core concept. Next, your hands before entering the hospital underscores the importance of hygiene practices, like sanitizing, which are vital in healthcare settings to prevent infection and ensure safety. Then, please is a polite reminder that often precedes instructions or requests, highlighting the importance of respectful communication. Moving on, of the rare bird species remains a mystery, points to the intriguing aspects of nature that scientists and researchers continue to explore, emphasizing the ongoing quest for discovery. Finally, the leads into the next part of the sentence, setting up a statement or question that ties back to our theme of curiosity, inquiry, and making informed choices. Throughout this slide, we're exploring how language and choices, whether in formatting, preferences, or understanding complex questions, shape our communication and thinking. These concepts are all interconnected in the broader theme of critical engagement and lifelong learning. Let's take a closer look at this interactive challenge. Synonym match. On this slide, we're exploring how different words are connected through their meanings and how they fit into a broader context. Starting from the top, we see inspiration linked to existence. This suggests that being inspired often relates to a sense of truly existing or having a purpose. Inspiration can give life to new ideas or perspectives, emphasizing the importance of meaning in our existence. Next, we move down to look, which is connected to appearance. This is pretty straightforward. How things look is directly tied to their appearance. It's about perception and the visual aspect of our environment. Then we have doubter matched with pessimist. A doubter questions and doubts possibilities, often leaning toward a negative outlook, similar to a pessimist, who tends to see the downside more readily. Following that, presence is associated with influence. When someone is truly present, mindful, engaged, they tend to have a greater influence on others and their surroundings. Finally, at the bottom, match is paired with the most important concept here. The core idea is about recognizing relationships between words, understanding their meanings, and seeing how they connect to the overall theme of perception, influence, and purpose. This challenge encourages us to think about how words relate and how their synonyms help us deepen our understanding of these concepts. It's a fun way to reinforce vocabulary while connecting these ideas to the bigger picture. Let's take a closer look at some key steps in mastering a new skill. First, understanding the antagonist is crucial. This could be a challenge or obstacle that stands in your way. Recognizing it helps you develop strategies to overcome it. Next, familiarizing yourself with the material is essential. Getting comfortable with the basics builds a solid foundation. Once you're familiar, it's important to memorize key concepts so they become second nature. Finally, performance comes into play. Practicing and applying what you've learned allows you to demonstrate your skills effectively. Each of these steps connects to the overall process of learning and growth, helping you become more confident and competent in any area you choose. Now, let's take a closer look at 4 very powerful suffixes that can really expand our understanding of words. First up, we have ist, which is used to describe someone who does or is an expert in a particular field. For example, a scientist or an artist. It's a great way to identify a person's role or expertise. Next, we have ence, which signifies the quality or state of something. Think of words like patience or independence. This suffix helps us describe the characteristic or condition of a person or thing. Then there's ance, which points to an act, process, or state. Words like assistance or performance fall into this category, highlighting a specific action or ongoing state. Finally, we have eyes, a suffix that turns words into verbs meaning to make or become something. For instance, to modernize or realize. It's a dynamic suffix that shows transformation or action. By mastering these suffixes, we can understand and create a wide variety of words more effectively. They're like superstars in the world of language, helping us communicate more precisely and creatively. These suffixes are key tools in our language toolkit, connecting to the overall theme of expanding our vocabulary and improving our communication skills. All right, let's look at this slide. We have several base words, and our task is to add the correct suffix, either ance, ence, or ist, to form meaningful words. This exercise helps us understand how these suffixes shape the meaning of words and their roles in our language. First, we see import plus, which becomes importance. The suffix ance turns import into importance, highlighting the significance or value of something. Next, real plus becomes realize. Here, the suffix transforms the adjective real into a verb, meaning to make something real or to become aware of something. Then, art plus turns into artist. Adding creates a noun referring to a person who practices or specializes in art. Following that, depend becomes dependence. The suffix ence turns depend into a noun that describes the state of relying on something or someone. Moving on, resist plus is resistance. Again, ance forms a noun indicating the act or state of resisting. Next, terror plus results in terrorize. The suffix makes it a verb meaning to cause someone to feel terror or fear. Finally, there's the bonus question: which suffix fits for each of these words? The key takeaway is understanding how these suffixes modify word meanings. Some turn words into nouns, others into verbs or nouns indicating a state or quality. Overall, this slide emphasizes the importance of suffixes in expanding our vocabulary and clarifying word functions. Recognizing the correct suffix helps us communicate more precisely and understand the nuances in language. Are there any questions? I want to make sure everyone feels confident with the material we've covered today. Remember, keep practicing your spelling to improve even more. Consistent practice really makes a difference. Thank you all for your attention and participation. It's been a pleasure sharing this time with you. Keep up the great work and don't forget to keep practicing.